Shalom and good day all, and welcome to the Super Sons Fortress of Solitude, Fortress of Attitude, crossover with Rainbow Press and Comics as I cover a review on Action Comics issue 1055 or 1055, as I'll be covering all three stories in this particular run. And I'm really looking forward to reviewing the Lois and Clark 2. So jumping into first things first, and that is in relation to the cover. Does this cover in any way, shape or form connect to something that is happening inside with one of the stories? Sure enough it does, to which I give it a 7.5 out of 10. I'll now move on to the first story, which is covered by Philip Kennedy Johnson. So as we jump into the first story, we see a number of Metallos going up against the police in the community, in Metropolis. Of course, we have members of the Super Family putting in the effort to stop them. In this particular panel, we get a bit of a glimpse of Keenan Kong by the looks of things. We, of course, return to the Fortress of Solitude. We get to catch up with the Eradicator. We get to see what the Philosian twins are up to. And as things draw closer, as they go to find Cyborg Superman, we get to see the twins sort of like standing up for each other. We, of course, get a bit of a backstory. The backstory continues. A little bit more from Metallo, until finally we meet Cyborg Superman. And last but not least, find out what Cyborg Superman did to Metallo's sister. Alright, for this first one, for the internal art, I give it a 7 out of 10. Moving into the area of locations, in the story we had the Daily Planet and the Fortress of Solitude. The cast of characters consisting of the Superman family, Hank Henshaw, Cyborg Superman, Keenan Kong, Eradicator, plus a couple of others, which I wrote down really badly with my writing. I'll see if I can... the Philosian twins, can't forget them. For the overall story rating, I gave it a 7 out of 10. Now it's time to move on to the Super Sons related one, which is covered by Dan Jurgens. And as we start to move into the next part, we have Lois Lane looking for John. And as things continue, we have Superman going up against Doombreaker, and Lois Lane discovers a message from Gilvana, who has taken John hostage. Take note that this is the real John Samuel Kent that we're talking about, not the imposter that connects to the Bendis run, also the Taylor run, and is also presently in, I'd have to say, the Philip Kennedy Johnson run, as well as the Joshua Williamson run. So that's all Bendis boy. So we get a little bit more as to what's happening here. The fight continues until Superman finally catches up with Lois. He gets the message. Things now get set in place for Superman to go save his son. We get to see where John is whilst in the presence of the Killamex. And last but not least, John comes to the realization and revelation that Gilvana, who also helped him earlier, wasn't who she says she was. A little bit further in the story. So for this story, first things first, we do get a comic reference in regards to the Death of Superman special. The locations that take place in this Earth and of course Plume. The cast of characters consisting of Lois Lane, Doombreaker, John Samuel Kent, not John Kent Bendis, Superman. I got Doombreaker twice here. Givana, and last but not least, the Killamex. For the overall art, I gave it a 8 out of 10, but for the story, I gave a 9.5 out of 10. I really enjoyed reading this story, and I'm looking forward to when it does come out, available in trade paperback. Now it's time to move into the third story, which focuses on John Henry Irons and Steelworks. And in this we have Connor Kent working alongside with Steele's daughter. There's a bit of testing of equipment that he has got set up for the city. We get quite a bit of information about the idea that he's got planned. We get to see a little bit more in relation to some of the events that are occurring as John Henry Irons decides to suit up. We end up meeting with Mr. Terrific. Alright, for the art, I gave this a 7.5 out of 10, as I actually quite enjoyed the art, a little bit more so than the first story. The key locations that took place in this were the Metropolis, Steelworks HQ, and a particular unit. The key cast of characters were Connor Kent, Jan Heng, John Henry Irons and his daughter, and last but not least, Mr. Terrific. I don't know who the rest of the people were. I suspect they were maybe just businessmen that he was selling stuff to. But for the overall story rating, I give it a 7 out of 10. Let's keep it colourful and have yourself an awesome day. And we'll see you again at the Super Sons Fortress of Attitude. With the next thing that will probably be reviewed in this will be, or for the Super Sons Fortress of Attitude, it will be the adventures of John Kent. I refuse to call it Superman because he's not Superman. I don't care if he's a Bendis boy creation, he's still not Superman. With what's happened with that John Kent.